if I want to calculate the area of a kite or a diamond, I need to figure out, well, what do I know and what does a kite look like? So to start off with, if I was to break the kite into 4 pieces, I would have a piece down here that makes up this little section. So if I cut that out and rotated it, I put it here. If I do the same thing with the other side, I take this piece and I cut it out and rotate it, and I do the same for these two. You can see that the shape that I end up with, I'll flip this the wrong way, the shape that I've ended up with is actually a rectangle. So this outline is just a rectangle. So if I knew the width and the length, or the height, whatever we call it, and I can see that my kite is actually made up of half of this because I've just doubled all my pieces to create my rectangle. So I know that the area is equal to half of the rectangle for a kite. But I don't know a length or a height yet. However, if width is this side to this side, notice that within my kite, this edge to this edge actually are the same as this edge to this edge on the width. So when I wrote my half of rectangle, I could say, well, let's call this side y, for example. Doesn't matter what we call it, but we'll just call this point to this point y. Now when I want the height or the length from top to bottom, I can see that the inside of my kite does go from top to bottom. So if we call that y, let's call this x. Generally we write these the other way around just to be alphabetical, so I can call this half of x times y, and that's area. So the area of my kite is the x line, so the distance between opposite points, times by the distance between opposite points, which I'll call x and y, and then we just halve it. So that's all we need to do. I need to know the length from the top to bottom and length from side to side, times them together, divide it by 2 because the kite is half of that rectangle, and I've got my area.